Look how many people there are! Should we get to it then? Pick up anything that seems the least bit device-like, and we'll make ourselves a pile.
Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, maybe you'll change our look. We've found bugger all without you.
Biggs! Wedge!
Aye, aye. Well, we could hardly say no to a call for aid from the Scions. Jesse called the chief of some other business, so we'll be working twice as hard to make up for his not being here.
Thrice as hard, even.
Thank you, both of you. I'm sure we'll find that beacon in no time.
I'm not seeing anything out here. Do you reckon you could squeeze in there, Wedge?
And get stuck halfway? No, thank you.
I could try if you like.
Tataru, no! We couldn't ask you to do that.
Oh, I'll be fine. This receptionist is not afraid to get her hands dirty.
Sorry, I meant to say, the scholars haven't finished their preliminary assessment of the site yet, so we're not supposed to venture too... What's that you got there? Now that looks promising.
Isn't that the ironworks symbol? Counterfeiters?
Now I have you.
You are right.
What's happening?
Stay with me. Focus on my voice. Let expanse contract. Eon become instant.
Wait, this must be it. The device. Oh, this is supposed to happen.
Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Safe journey, warrior of light. Find our friends and bring them home.
Oh, do not look at me so.
You're slaves to a tyrant! There's no freedom in that!
This is one battle you cannot fight. Away with you!
Spirited accounts always comes in welcome.
We did everything right! Everything that was asked of us, and still it came to this!
Your time has not yet come.
From endless dreams I awake. Something vague, yet urgent, calls me to action once more.
Rare to meet someone out here who's not a peddler themselves. What brings you into the wilds this time of night? Well, if it ain't the oldest joke in the book. Me granddad, God's rest his soul, used to tell that one to the barman at kicking out time. And when, pray tell, did we last have a dark night? You rotten old drunk yet, he'd reply. Over 100 bleeding years ago, that's when. You got that look down to a T. I'd almost think you meant it. Ah, got to you, did they? Poor beggar. That explains it then. Well, I've roads to travel and wares to sell, but you'd best hurry along to the town nearby. Just head east through the trees and aim for the Shining Tower. You'll find the place soon enough. 'Tis the biggest settlement for malms around. Go on now, friend. They'll take good care of you in the Crystarium. Dizzying heights it rises, the gleaming spire, its tip threatening to pierce the blinding canopy. There, it will all begin anew, between dark and light, the pure and the corrupt, the one true struggle.
Halt! Every face in this city I know. Yours, I do not. This is the threshold of the Crystarium, stranger, and I am its gatekeeper. If you would enter, you will answer my questions. From where do you hail? The source? What is this cryptic nonsense? Had you given me an honest answer, I would not have barred your way. We care little here for a person's place of origin. But instead, you chose concealment. And I will not suffer you to pass. That one had eaten. It must have gulped down the whole hand, ring and all.
Everything all right, Captain?
Quite all right, my lord. Just a stray sin eater, and a weak one at that.
I see. Weak or not, we should be on the lookout for more. But I see you've met my guest. I will escort her to the Crystarium myself, if you've no objections.
Another of your mysterious friends, is it? I should have known. Very well. I'll inform the others your guest is to be given the run of the city. Pray forgive my less than cordial welcome. May the rest of your stay with us be a pleasant one.
Come with me. I will answer whatever questions you have when we are somewhere more private. Right then, before we plunge into the wheres and wherefores, let me first thank you for answering my summons. I had intended to bring you directly to my personal quarters, but I fear my aim was slightly off. That you are still able to make the crossing unharmed is a great relief. And so, we come to the question of where. The realm in which you now find yourself belongs to one of the 13 reflections, or shards. The first, to be precise, even if its inhabitants are largely oblivious to the fact. As to wherefore, having been awarded the rather grandiose title of Crystal Exarch, I, in my capacity as caretaker of the Crystarium, thought to seek the aid of you and your companions. That is a question with no simple answer, but all shall be explained in due course, I promise you. Let us begin with the glaring skies up above. Here in the first, the world has been all but consumed by primordial light. It began a century ago, by this realm's reckoning. A luminous flood swallowing everything in its path. More than 9/10 of this star was lost. And the fortunate few who survived are hounded by abominations born of that catastrophe even now. Sin Eaters, we call them. The creature you saw earlier was one such monstrosity. It was to save the first from this menace that I learned to bridge the rift between worlds, that I might call upon the aid of the greatest of heroes. And though it meant depriving a world of its champion, I had to try, For in saving the first, you would bring salvation to the source as well. But what manner of host harangues his guests in the middle of the road? Let us continue our talk within the Crystarium.
City. The sole sanctuary for the living in a world all but resigned to oblivion. Each stone was laid with hope. The town itself a symbol, a monument to defiance in the face of death. No would-be hero could fail to answer its call. For who among us does not yearn for salvation?
Welcome to the Ocular, my private study. We can speak here without fear of being overheard. I have much to explain, but the truths which I must touch upon in doing so would cause only distress and confusion to the people of this world. Pray keep that in mind. Now, I am sure you are desperate to know the fate of your fellow scions. To put it simply, they are here in the first. Their arrival, however, was not as recent as you may imagine. Here, time flows at a different pace from that of the source. In the space of a single hour in your home world, an entire year might pass in the first, and the reverse could also be true. The pace fluctuates without rhyme or reason, and it cannot be predicted. That said, we seem to be entering a period of near equivalence, and thus, for the moment, you need not overly concern yourself with the passage of time. As for your companions, however, Y'shtola and Urianger have dwelled here for 3 winters, all told, while Thancred's count stands at 5. Even our more recent arrivals, Alphino and Alize, have lived in the first for almost a year. My intention had been to summon only you, but the art of reaching across worlds has proven exceedingly difficult to master. Thus it was that my fumbling hand closed upon those to whom your fate is most closely bound as well. As they were not the object of my summons, their transference was incomplete. Though they may appear to possess corporeal bodies, they are, in truth, merely spirits that one can see and touch. Consequently, while you yourself will be able to pass between worlds with relative freedom, they will not. Much as it grieves me, they are stranded here, unable to return. We spent every waking hour searching for a way to reverse the summoning. In the beginning, at least. As you may have surmised, however, our efforts met with little success. And then we all but abandoned the endeavor once Urianger shared with us the vision he had witnessed during his journey through the rift. In that chaotic no man's land between realms, time and space warp and blend in unexpected ways. What Urianger saw was the future, that which would one day come to pass. In his vision of tomorrow, the first was rejoined with the source. This collision of worlds brought about the 8th umbral calamity and the deaths of countless multitudes. Amongst those who perished, Urianger clearly saw the fall of the Scion's mightiest champion. He watched you die. And thus did the Scions embrace their exile, and began searching this world for a means to forestall the coming catastrophe in yours. Their souls are stranded in the first, yes, but they have fought on, desperate to save their home and you from destruction. Nor have their efforts been in vain, for it was they who finally established that the elimination of the Sin Eaters will indeed serve to prevent the calamity. Considering these circumstances of our meeting, you would be forgiven for doubting my version of events. And so, before all else, I would suggest you track down your comrades and hear the tale from their lips. I shall of course be happy to assist in these reunions, and you need not make any decisions regarding your involvement until you are certain of where you stand. Meanwhile, I promise I will not rest until I have found a way to help your friends return home. What say you? Have I earned your trust for the moment, at least? Excellent. You will not regret this. With that settled, we shall have to see about getting you ready for the road. Traveling across the rift has no doubt left you weary. I will arrange for a room where you might rest in comfort. While it's being prepared, perhaps I can show you around. This is the Musica Universalis, the commercial heart of the Crystarium. Aught you might need to prepare for your journeys can be purchased here. Ah, yes. You must be curious about the currency. Fear not. The gil you carry will serve you well enough. Each nation once minted its own coins, but 'twas all a jumbled mess following the flood. After much debate, the local merchants eventually elected to revert to the old ways, wherein a coin's value was decided by the worth of its metal. As for a unit of measurement, we agreed upon the term gil, a word borrowed from coins uncovered within the Crystal Tower here. And as our traders peddled their wares across the land, so too did our usage of gil become common practice. From what your stola tells me, a standard coin from the source equates to exactly 1 gil here, or near enough not to matter. Our way of life has benefited greatly from the artifacts we recovered from the tower, some of which may be familiar to you. But I fear it would not be practical for us to provide everything to which you are accustomed. You shall need a means to access the commodities of your homeworld. Avan Kerm Sin?
Yes, I'm here! Of course I'm here! What amusements do you have for me today?
My dear Feo paragon of pixie kind. For you, I have the most vital task. This fine lady is a friend from a distant realm. And we have need of a means to ferry things back and forth from her home. Might you be able to assist us in this matter?
You came from beyond, didn't you? From beyond the rift? How wonderfully exciting! What a brave and reckless and marvellous thing you did! You've the heart of a pixie, you do. After careful consideration, I have decided to grant you my assistance. Make a pact with me and the fun can begin. But answer me this, traveller. Did your garments come with you when you crossed over? Your teeth? Your nails? Just as I thought! Then you've a good stout connection with your home through which all your belongings, great and small, may easily pass. From this moment forth I will be your Isnefis, and you my Snayak. Like the branch which sprouts from the sapling, our bond will flow unbroken from one to the other. Raise your hand. Tis done. We are bound now, dearest sapling. Come then. Make your request. Tell me your desire. I wish to visit this world of yours.
Mayhap her message to your friends in the source to inform them of your safe arrival.
Consider it done.
As you heard, that was Feo of the Pixies. Their kind possess an affinity for magic akin to that of arcane beings. They rarely show themselves in populated areas, but Feo is insatiably curious even by pixie standards, and seems to have taken a liking to the Crystarium. Right, we were going to organise a room for you, weren't we? Come along.
I know you. You're the warrior of light from the source. What? Did you just... You can hear me? Oh, gods, how long has it been? That was what I called myself in your world. The Warrior of Darkness. My real name is Ardbert. I used an alias in the source, a daft one, looking back. If you recall my tale, it was my comrades and I who caused the flood. We thought our home doomed. And so we listened to the Ascians. Let them guide us to the source, and try to hasten their goddamned ardor. I remember when we fell, defeated by you and yours. I remember our audience with Minfilia, how she listened to our pleas and returned our souls to the first. The flood was poised to swallow Norvrant. Minfilia and my friends, they surrendered what little they had left to hold it back. Just faded away, leaving me to bear witness. Tell me, do you know the year? How much time has passed since we caused the flood? $100 years. 100 long years. My hands find no purchase. My gestures catch no eye, and my pleas, be they whispered or screamed, reach not a single ear. I am a shade, cursed to do naught but drift. I feel as if I've been walking forever. I hardly noticed when my mind and body began to fray at the edges. Then bang! My senses were sharp again. I felt like a fish being reeled in, and before I knew it, I found myself in this room. Why is it that you can see me? What are you even doing here, come to that? You were summoned to save the first. A waste of time. This world is beyond saving, like those who try to save it. Muddled as my mind may be, I've not forgotten that. But if fate has brought me to you, the one person in this God's-forsaken world who can see and hear me, then perhaps there is a reason I endured. If I can find out why I was left behind, then maybe I can bring this journey of mine to an end. Well, I'll be watching, Warrior of Light. But do me a favor. Be careful out there. This world has had its fill of heroes.
Ah, how did you find your new quarters? I trust you were able to rest? That is good to hear. Should you want for anything, pray let me know. Now, let us return to the subject of the Scion's whereabouts. This map shows the lands of Norvrant, the only area to be spared the flood of light. The Crystarium is here, in the region known as Lakeland. To the north is the fairy kingdom of Il-Meg. That is where you'll find Urianger. To the east lies the once prosperous civilization of Rak-Tika. Your Stola is stationed there, in the heart of the forest. Alas, neither location can be reached without considerable difficulty. As such, I would suggest you first seek out one of the twins, each of whom is stationed but a short flight from the Crystarium. Alphino is on Calusia, an island off the western shore. It is home to a city called Yulmore, where the rich and privileged while away their days in idleness. For his part in furthering our cause, Alphino journeyed there to meet with the citizenry and forge alliances. From what I hear, he has since kept himself busy gathering information around the main settlement. Alize, meanwhile, traveled south to the arid wastes of Armareng. They lie upon the very edge of the inhabitable world, where the flood of light was halted. Those who dwell there live in constant fear of attack by the Sin Eaters. In contrast to her brother, Alize felt that her energies would better be spent learning about the enemy, and thus she sells her services as a guard, both to hone her skills and gather information on our foe. So, will it be Calicia or Armareng? It matters not which you choose to visit first. Simply inform me once you've made your decision, and I will see to it that you are provided with a suitable mount. Ah, but you must be wondering about Thancred. He has taken up with a new companion, and is presently engaged as a wandering hunter of Sin Eaters. Being ever on the move, his whereabouts are often difficult to ascertain, but I am certain your paths will cross ere long.
The whistling breeze, mute. The pounding surf, frozen. Time itself takes a breath. At light's edge, all is perfectly still. The world captured in a painting, locked in a moment. Music, faint and fleeting, drifts coastward on the lifeless air. And in the distance, beyond the broken earth, a city beckons.
And how is business today, Mistress Theva?
Oh, frenetic. Look, I have a new customer.
Tis good to see you, my friend. The barley seeds you wanted. They should produce a better harvest than the last.
What, just like that? Oh, Alphino, you really are a dear. Well, I'd best be tidying up some of those empty shacks before the pests move in. Keep an eye on the place while I'm out, eh?
It seems an age since last we spoke. Not since the prisoner exchange in Doma. And Yotsu. It has been even longer for me, of course, if you count the days I've spent here. But the time has only added to the relief I feel seeing you safe and well. Huh. Alize said much the same thing. I don't think I've ever had such a scolding. But I believe an exchange of news is in order. Come, tell me of your arrival and all that came before. I see. Both the Exarch and Alize told me what they knew of events, but I had stubbornly clung on to the hope that all-out war might yet be avoidable. And poor Tataru. She must be sick with worry. We must endeavor to return as soon as we may. It would be nice to bring her good tidings for a change. But before we bid this world farewell, we must first ensure that it is not rejoined to the source. We must prevent the 8th Umbral calamity. Urianger's vision of the future has, I fear, every chance of coming true. By his description, the catalyst for the calamity was a formless and deadly weapon employed by the Garlean Empire. Which can only mean one thing. Black Rose. Gaius was telling you the truth. When we were on the trail of the Ascians, we saw evidence that the gas was being manufactured once more. Gaius was adamant that the project had been scrapped. But so long as there are wars to be waged, there will always be those determined to win by any means. And thus simply destroying the existing stores of Black Rose would do little to alter fate's course. In that sense, our involuntary journey here to the First was something of a boon. Together with the Exarch, we've developed a theory as to how we believe the rejoining will be set in motion. I'm sure Urianger himself will cover the subject in more detail. But I can tell you the process requires that both worlds, the Source and the First, be facing an existential threat. One being Sin-Eaters, of course. They are a menace that I would dearly love to remove, and not just to avert a calamity. I may be a stranger to this world, but I will not stand idly by and let innocent people be slaughtered. That is what brought me to the gates of Yulmore. Ignoring its pretensions as a kind of capital city to what remains of the world, it is nonetheless a center of power and authority. If any solutions are to be found, I believe our search should begin there. What say you, old friend? Hungry for another adventure? And so we take to the road once more. That gate up ahead is known as the Open Arms, and Yulmore itself lies beyond. This, meanwhile, is the aptly named Gate Town, the dwelling place of the many desperate souls who hope to be chosen to live in the city proper.
Ah, I thought I recognized you. Brought a new friend, eh? I'll bet you got a trick or two up your sleeve. Maybe even 3. Care to show me?
She's not here to compete. Leave her be.
What? I was only making conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please! Greetings to our hopeful petitioners, one and all. Yulmore extends its warmest regards. Let it be known that a lady of distinction wishes to dine on fish divine. We seek a master culinarian who can guarantee seafood perfection. Dazzle the matron with your delicious dishes, and life in the city will be yours to enjoy, even on days when fish is not on the menu. Who among you will answer the call? Name yourself or another. We may not at all.
Fish, is it? Was there anyone?
What about that girl?
Do you recall how I said Yulmore was a centre of power and authority? Well, that is not the only reason for its fame. It is also known as the City of Final Pleasures. The noble and the wealthy who survived the flood gathered here to live out the rest of their days in decadent abandon. A poor man could sooner pass through the Iron Needle than Yulmore's gates. The only way the common folk can enter this perverted paradise is if they fulfill the whim of one of the privileged. And so they are picked over like market produce.
What a catch! We'll not be throwing this one back. Having seen your all too obvious charms, we welcome you with open arms. Come, join us in the City of Splendor and live out your life in an ecstasy of endeavour. Oh, just look at those expectant faces. What could you possibly be waiting for? Well, what have we here? An extra share of meal to celebrate our newest resident! For you!
Ah, look!
Enjoy!
Thank goodness.
Meal is a foodstuff which Yulmore routinely doles out to the people of Gatetown, and apparently a staple for its citizens as well. Many here rely on it to survive in these times of scarcity, yet the whole arrangement just seems... well, let's just say it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
There you are. The thief who claimed the harvest on my behalf. Hand it over.
Well, forgive me. I have to get into the city. I have no family and all my friends have already been chosen. No one here gives a damn about me. When the meal gets handed out, I'm lucky if I get a smell of it. No matter what I do, they won't call out my name. I'm so tired, I'm so bloody hungry. I thought maybe I could steal your idea, get in that way.
What is your name?
Kai-Shir.
Tell me then, Kai-Shir, must it be Yulmore or nothing? What of the Christarium? They may not offer charity, but you would be fairly compensated for any work you did.
No, it has to be Yulmore. That's where all my friends are. We made a promise that we'd live together in paradise.
was to make my deal with the Ondo at the Clave. Listen carefully, and I shall tell you my plans for the business, and how best to arouse the Ulmoran's interest.
You'll give me your place? Just like that?
I'm giving you a chance, nothing more. What comes of it is entirely up to you.
I understand. Oh, thank you, thank you!
This was but one path. There will be others. But for young Kai Shia, it was the difference between life and death. I do not regret my decision, yet I will admit that a part of me wonders if it was for the best. We strive to bring swift salvation to this world, that countless lives might be saved, not least your own. Even if it came at the cost of one man, should I have forged on regardless? I suppose not. Were Estinian here, he would most likely scoff at my soft-heartedness.
Same old Alfino, ever the slave to sentiment.
But I thank you for your kind words nonetheless. Let us see to it that both these stories have a happy ending. Shall we return to write, then? Is that... I can't be sure, but I think someone's in trouble. Come on, they may need our help.
Redemption is beyond us. The lament of all but saints and fools, and the comfort of the lords and ladies of this accursed place. Once they held fast against the madness, only to embrace the coming cataclysm and delight in the end of days. Perhaps in rapture they seek to lose themselves and the misery they share. Or perhaps for them alone, the promise of eternal pleasure really does hold true.
Oh, who's this then?
Lord and Lady Chai, pray forgive our intrusion. I am given to understand you were in search of an artist.
Ah, you must be the new,
Oh, goodness me! What an adorable boy! That silken hair, those pearly cheeks, oh, and you even smell wonderful, like a bed of flowers. I I approve of this one, dearest. I am positive he will paint us the most delightful pictures.
Yes. Well, as long as he paints better than that talentless wretch we sent packing last week.
Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome to Yulmore.
Alphino, if it please you, my lady. And this is my assistant.
Your assistant? I've heard of folk bringing in family members, but this seems a bit irregular. Aren't you a little young to have a protégé?
We are family in all but name, my lord. Though we share no blood, we have stood by each other through life's many challenges, resolved to prevail together or not at all. Of all people, 'tis she who best understands my work. With her unique insight guiding my hand, the art I create is sure to satisfy your expectations. Once the picture is begun, of course, I shall have no need of constant encouragement. And so I wondered, rather than her being in your way, might it then be permissible for my assistant to explore the city she has so longed to see? Out of gratitude for her priceless contribution to my art, I thought it only fair that I make this humble request on her behalf.
Oh, did you ever hear of such devotion? Of course your assistant must have her wish. She shall be free to roam to her heart's content. Isn't that right, darling?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course, dearest. Quite right.
That's him. That's Vorthri. He's attended by sin-eaters. But how does he keep them from attacking?
Mercy! Mercy!
By the 12. Kaishia, what happened to you?
Who are these impudent louts? I do not recall requesting their presence.
Lord Vorthri, what is the meaning of this? Why is this poor man bleeding to death on your floor?
Why? You ask me why? Because criminals must be punished. And this man is guilty of fraud. He came to us claiming to be a man of business, yet his subsequent conduct has shown him to be anything but. Europe is a city built on love for one's fellow man. Those who have naught to give and live only to take are a blight upon our society. To atone for this crime, I ordered that he fling himself from the balcony. And he had the temerity to weep. Please, my lord, anything but that. What then is a man of mercy to do? But offer the sinner another way to show his contrition.
Another way? Meaning what exactly?
Sin-eaters are part of Yulmore society, but they must be fed with ether. Living ether. So, I demanded an offering of flesh, carved by his own hand, from his own hide. And still, he could not do as I asked. A wholly unsatisfactory performance.
Tis true that Kaishia won his place here by fraud, but his actions were driven only by a desire to share in your paradise. That you would cast him out, I could almost accept, but to humiliate him thus, to demand his very life? Is this truly the way of Yulmore?
Dim, deluded child. Have you ever paused to consider what it takes to maintain such a paradise in this barren, broken world of ours? The guarantee of safety and stability. The knowledge that if one only abides by the rules, one has naught to fear. I alone can offer these things, for I alone can command the Sin-eaters. And thus am I alone the voice of justice, and any who oppose me, villains to be punished.
And people call this paradise.
You were granted a place in my city for a particular skill. What was it?
Painting.
An artiste! Then you shall paint a picture for me of Yulmore. If I find your art pleasing, then I may excuse this display of insolence. Who gave you permission to tend to that criminal's wounds? I told you to paint me a picture!
What you need is a mirror, not a painting. It will capture the horror I see before me far better than I ever could. Can you walk?
I think so. Did that little worm just insult me? I'll kill them! I'll kill them all! I'll enslave their minds! I'll torment them! Torture them! And tear out their hearts!
Arang. From this parched earth, the nation of Nabath, Arang, once rose. When I journeyed here, long ago, I spoke with a sun-weathered elder. He told me Arang meant majestic land in the language of his people. And so it might still be, were it not for the light's unrelenting onslaught.
Master Gengen, this is the friend of the Exarch I was telling you about.
Very good, very good. Though friend or no, all are welcome in Mordsook.
Souk is Mordish for city. As things stand, this souk boasts the largest and busiest marketplace in all Armorang. You'll find ore from the mines here, of course, but all manner of other things too, many of them rare. As I told you before, not many visit Armorang by choice, but Mordsook's a different story. Merchants come from miles around to purchase the relics the Mord dig up.
Aye, that they do. For Mord do not dismiss the spoils of the earth. We clean them and polish them and reveal to the world their true value. That is why they come here, come from far away, come with much money. And so our souk is always busy, busy, busy. No such thing as a thing no one needs.
You say that every time, Master Gengen. Some sort of family motto, wasn't it? Or perhaps a Mord philosophy, for which we should all be very grateful. Would that everyone was so willing to take in refugees regardless of race or creed. Now then, if you intend to spend any time here, you'll want to gain the trust of the locals. And there's a little custom all newcomers are expected to observe.
The cracking of the coin purse. You buy one thing from the market. Price can be low or high, just as long as you buy.
As the good Mord says. In fact, the Exarch sent a little something to cover this very expense. A Verbert gold piece, no less. The first I've held in years.
Verbert gold? Real Verbert gold?
Here, newcomer, crack your coin purse with me.
Oh no, you want my goods, newcomer. I have jars and pots all smooth and shiny.
Over here! Come and look!
You buy, you buy.
Enough of that! Calm, I say! This one must still journey through the barrens. Nothing bulky, nothing heavy, no pots. Nothing better for the road than a full belly. Spend that piece at Ronron's place, yes? Eat for 3 before you leave.
Get back here!
Is that... It can't be.
Just a lesser sin eater. Nothing to write home about. I knew you'd turn up sooner or later, but I had been hoping for sooner. How are you? We've fought them to a standstill, then. The Exarch did say that the Empire seemed to have drawn back when he last looked in on the source. But without knowing for sure how fast time was passing there, I couldn't help worrying that a lot might have happened since then. I'm heartily relieved to hear that it hasn't, just as Alphino must have been. As you can imagine, both he and Urianger were desperate to hear the news from home when I arrived. I haven't actually seen Thancred and Y'shtola yet, but they will have heard all the latest developments from the Exarch by now, or should have at least. When I think of how frantic Tataru and the others must be, I want nothing more than to rush back and reassure them. But we still haven't found a way to reverse the summoning, and even if we had, we couldn't just ignore Urianger's vision. He may use 10 words where 1 would suffice, and they may often obscure as much as they reveal. But on this matter, he was as clear as day. I do not doubt for one moment that he saw what he claims. Nor how difficult it must have been to speak about them. The 8th Umbral Calamity and your death aren't exactly topics for idle conversation. As much as I might want to go home, I don't want to go home to that. We can't allow the rejoining to happen, which means we have to save the first from the Sin Eaters. That great wall of white is a remnant of the flood. 100 years ago, the balance in the first tipped decisively in favor of light. From that moment, it rose and swelled with each passing day, and then, without warning, it burst forth like water from a broken dam. A colossal wave of pure light, drowning everything in its wake. Only Norvrant was spared. For the most part, living things are composed of ether of various different aspects. But when exposed to such a flood, their etheric harmony is shattered, and their natural form breaks down. Then they either perish, or are warped into mindless abominations. Yes, that's how the Sin Eaters came to be. They were once living creatures, or people, that were caught in the path of the flood. Once the change is wrought, there is no going back. In that instant, they are gripped by an insatiable appetite for ether, and will happily gorge themselves on any living thing within reach. But even that is not the worst of it. The stronger Sin Eaters can plant light in us, like seeds in soil, corrupting our ether and triggering the birth of new monstrosities. They are creatures of base instinct that exist only to feed and to multiply. They feel no pity, know no remorse, and are utterly deaf to reason, which is why they must be destroyed. Every last one of them. The infirmary is full of the Sin Eaters' victims, left here to spend their final hours waiting for the change to overtake them. Look, over there, where the wall is broken. Do you see what lies beyond? That's what the land became after the light flooded in. An empty white nothingness. Life cannot exist in such conditions. The primordial light would wreak havoc on the body's etheric balance. That nectarine you bought. It's Halric's favorite fruit. Most of the patients, Halric included, survived the attacks of powerful eaters. But their fate was sealed all the same. The monster's corruption has entered their bodies, and their very essence is being subsumed by light. The twisted state of the world itself just makes matters worse. Under normal circumstances, a person's ether naturally tends to equilibrium. But for these poor souls, the opposite is true. Sooner or later, every single one of them will turn. Tesleen and the patients, they all know this. They know what has to be done before the change goes too far, before the eater within takes over. The preferred method is mixing poison into their favorite food. In my time here, I've borne witness to a lot of last meals. I feel just as helpless as before. No matter how hard I fight, it's never enough. But it's a war I mean to wage, nonetheless. Speaking of wars, do you remember how I made you promise not to leave me and then promptly collapsed? Well, let's just say I had a few choice words for the Exarch concerning the timing of his summons. But even if the fault lay with someone else, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd abandon you on the battlefield. So I swore that I'd make up for my absence there by making a difference here. And that's what keeps me moving forward, even when things seem hopeless. On which note, it's time we headed back. The longer we keep Tesleen waiting, the harder this will be for her.
Speak up if you'd like another helping. I made a little bit more than usual today.
And you've added something special to the broth, if I'm not mistaken.
Aye, well, it's not often we have visitors from the Crystarium, so I may have thrown in a few extra bits and bobs. Oh, it's nothing, really. And we do so rarely have guests. In a place like this, you learn to take what moments of happiness you can get. I remember when I first came here with my mother. She was showing the early signs. I knew there was no way to save her, but I just couldn't face what needed to be done. That's... Beaten, broken souls come to wait out the inevitable, to receive the mercy of a painless death. When my mother finally left this world, I was mad with grief, but also thankful that her passing was a peaceful one. It's never easy, ending a life you've cared for, even when you believe they go on to a better place. I often find myself wishing the Warrior of Darkness would come and do that part for me.
The Warrior of Darkness?
You've never heard the tale? I'm not sure where it began, but every child in Norvrent could tell you a version of it. Warrior of Darkness, servant of death, take care of our souls at our dying breath. Let sinners and eaters of sin go with thee, that all may return to the sunless sea. Well, that's the version I was taught anyway. It's just an old bedtime story. He's certainly never deigned to visit us here.
Which is a good thing, surely. He sounds rather ominous.
Do you think so? I always liked the idea that he treated every soul the same, even the Sin Eaters.
They're coming.
Desleen! Have you seen Halric? I swear, I only took my eyes off him for a moment.
Any sign of him? No luck then. But he surely can't have gone far. We should keep looking. The Sin Eaters are out in force, and if we don't find him soon, you can be sure they will. Did you see the size of that thing? It must be one of the nasty ones. Wherever it's going, it can only mean trouble. After it!
There it is!
Is that...
Oh no! Halric! We have to run! Tessie! No!
We all deserve happiness, wherever we can find it. The time left to you is precious. No one should die in pain. Mother, I...
And so you return. Have you gained a better understanding of the crisis now faced by the First?
Better is not the word I would use. Some lands may have been spared the flood, but the survivors live only to suffer. There seems no end to the horrors inflicted by the Sin Eaters.
Indeed. Those abominations are a calamity in their own right. And I can well imagine how hopeless the task of eradicating them must seem to you. But after countless battles and untold sacrifice, we have identified a potential weakness. Sin Eaters are drawn to serve the strongest of their kind, a class of creature we call Light Wardens. And from what we have been able to ascertain, only a handful of these entities exist. Just as an ant colony will perish in the absence of its queen, we believe that the death of a Light Warden will cause the lesser creatures within its sphere of influence to disperse.
I have a feeling Yulmul might have something to say about any concerted action we take against these monsters. Vorthra's command over the Sin Eaters is integral to Yulmoran society. In seeming to guarantee his people's safety, it guarantees their obedience. He will not take kindly to us depriving him of such useful allies.
Agreed. Thus we will need to occupy or otherwise divert his forces whilst we proceed with the business of eliminating the Wardens. Until we have done so, all other considerations must be set aside if we are to forestall the 8th Umbral Calamity. Your uncertainty is understandable, given the circumstances. Perhaps a more detailed explanation is in order. To begin at the beginning, then. In the ancient past, a single star was divided into 14 worlds. This is the source, your home. These others are the 13 shards, in whose number we find the first. Though physically separate, they retain a connection to each other, and with the source especially. Now, let us assume that a given element in one of the shards attains abnormal ascendancy. Just as water will flow from the highest point to the lowest, the excess energy will begin trickling into the source. And such an influx of ether will of course exert a palpable influence. If the element in question were fire, then drought and wildfires might ensue. If it were ice, one might expect the weather to turn bitterly cold. As ether continues to pour in, such phenomena will become more and more extreme, until eventually, a single, untimely event triggers a disaster which cracks the barrier dividing the two worlds. What was once a trickle now becomes a deluge, sweeping the shard along to be rejoined with the source. At the same time, the element which held sway in the shard is unleashed in full, its energies amplifying the original disaster to truly catastrophic proportions. An earthquake thus magnified might strike with enough force to shatter continents. A tidal wave might swell to a size capable of drowning entire nations. These devastating events are what we refer to as umbral calamities. 7 times has a calamity befallen the source. 7 times has a shard been absorbed. At present, the light-drowned realm of the First stands perilously close to meeting the conditions for a rejoining. It is the Sin Eaters who are to blame for the light's continued dominance. In addition to attracting their lesser kin, the Light Wardens I mentioned earlier radiate ether, saturating every corner of their territory with light. Even here in the flood-spared region of Northrant, their influence is strong enough to banish night from the sky. Thus, if we are to restore balance to the First and head off a potential calamity, it is imperative that we put each and every Light Warden to the sword.
We've been doing our best to take the fight to the enemy ever since we first heard the Exarch's explanation.
Though we have yet to claim any meaningful victories if truth be told. Apart from being confoundingly elusive, the Light Wardens possess a troublesome quality which compelled us to delay our plans until such time as you arrived.
Forgive the interruption, my lord, but Hallminster Switch is requesting reinforcements. They say the Sin Eaters are attacking in force, and the village could soon be overrun.
Alert the guard. We should be prepared in case the fighting reaches the Crystarium. You have command of our forces in the field, Captain, but hold off on entering the town until I arrive. That goes for Alphino and Alize as well.
My lord.
Pray, lend us your strength. Such a fight will provide you with far greater insight than any explanation I could offer.
It's releasing its ether! Fall back! We cannot let it touch us! Quickly, my lord, we must withdraw!
That will not be necessary, Captain. Though I appreciate your concern. The eternal light of these creatures has confounded us for nigh on 100 years. For each we have put down, another has risen up in its place, born of the self-same ether relinquished by its predecessor. But now we have a way to contain that corruption. The blessing of light, and the hero who wields it now stands before you. Behold! The monster's power is broken, and the world, twisted by its touch, returns to its rightful form.
What's happening?
It's so beautiful.
The sunless sea. The warrior of darkness has come.
Is that what I think it is?
The night sky. As it should be.
Who are you people? You killed a warden, then bathed in its ether as if it were a spring shower, and now the sky? The legends are true. My lord?
How many years have I waited for this moment? For the one possessed of her blessing. For you. You have vanquished the Light Warden of Lakeland, and for the first time in a century, darkness has returned to the mantle of night. Without the ever-present light to sustain them, the Sin Eaters will have no choice but to retreat. Yet our victory is far from complete. Though darkness has fallen here, the other wardens yet bask beneath burning skies, feasting upon what little life remains. Even should it cost me all I have, I would see each and every one of them slain, that this world might be spared from oblivion. Not only for the first, but for the source as well. Save one, and we save the other. But, be that as it may, I concede it was wrong of me to summon you to this fight against your will. I swear, on my life, I will one day atone for that deed, but for the present, I beg you stay and see this fight to its conclusion. Cast down the wardens and restore darkness to the first. On behalf of the first, I offer you my deepest thanks.
I understand there is much at stake here, Exarch, but why do you risk yourself so readily? It must have been a dangerous drain on your ether to summon even one person across the rift.
I do it for my people, of course. To give the Crystarium the tomorrow it deserves.
That is true now, yes, but the city had yet to be built when you first called forth the Crystal Tower. I'm simply curious to know what prompted you to commit yourself so completely to this particular course.
There are things which we can ill afford to lose. And I sensed from the first that I had a part to play in preserving them. Forgive me. I fear the events of the day may have taken their toll. Despite appearances, I am an old man. One burdened with many difficult memories, some too painful to recall.
Well then, I'm sorry for pressing you. It's a family failing, I'm afraid.
One which has served us well more often than not. Needless to say, we will continue to fight at your side until the last Sin Eater is defeated.
Come then, my warriors of darkness. Let us gather the surviving villagers and make our way back to the Crystarium.
So it's your lot's turn to be the warriors of darkness, is it? It's funny how things work out. Well, I did warn you. I followed you to Yulmore and then on to Armarang, and I was there when you slew the Light Warden. Those white-haired twins who were with you. I remember them from our battle in the Source. Are they your friends then? Through thick and thin? Aye. Then I suggest you keep them close. It's when you charge ahead trying to save someone else that you end up losing those you love. Not that you need telling, I'll bet you've lost plenty. But I wonder, what will it cost you this time? I don't remember when it was that I learned regret wasn't worth the bother. You get numb to it all over the years. The lost comrades, the broken promises, the abandoned principles. Just more nagging burdens to ignore.
So this is what the light was hiding. She's here. I must go to her.
Intruders! Fan out and fight them!
Out of my way!
Stay your weapon. We are not your enemy. When the alarm sounded, I wondered what we had done to betray our presence. But I see now we are not the only intruders. Sir Estinian, I presume. The dragoon who plucked the warrior of light from the jaws of death? Your armor is most distinct.
Much as yours once was. But even without it, I see a former legator still has eyes and ears in unexpected places. Van Baelsar, in the flesh. Though I understand you prefer Shadow Hunter.
You are in contact with the Scions, I take it.
Through no choice of my own, they tracked me down and conscripted me to their cause. I swear their receptionist was trained as a spy. Not that anyone can escape that Baldessian woman once she has caught the scent of your ether.
If they have resorted to using freelancers, I must assume their attempts to wake the afflicted have failed. And what of their champion?
Away on other business. Thus, it has fallen to me to root out any trace of the Empire's new weapon.
If it is Black Rose you seek, you are too late. My people have already completed your mission here. Yet this is but one factory among many. When they caught wind of our efforts, they built additional facilities to ensure production continues unabated. There will be no one left in the lands they conquer. No citizens to conscript. No skills to exploit. Nothing the Empire needs. And they will call it victory.
What exactly does this Black Rose do?
The gas is described as a poison, but its actual effect is more arcane in nature. It was created to disrupt the ether in living beings, to bring the flow of their life energies to a standstill. Inhaling even the tiniest amount will cause all bodily functions to cease, much as a potent venom will stop a man's heart. Released over a city, Black Rose could conceivably kill every inhabitant, and all without damaging a single structure.
Search every corner! Roll the barracks if you have to! I want this facility secured!
I have more questions, but now is not the time.
Sir Estinian, I have an offer for you, but I will make it only once. Since it would seem we seek the same answers, you are welcome to join us.
Ha! From what I hear, you need all the help you can get. In case you don't know, Varys himself confessed that your empire was a creation of the Ascians.
I am aware of what his Radiance said at the parley. Thus I would return to the capital, that I might behold the truth of this corruption with my own eyes. My path leads to Garlemald.
You have come at a good time. As you may have heard, we have something of a quandary on our hands. Laxon Loft, here in Lakeland. Yulmore has sent one of its airships. They have questions for us concerning the death of the Light Warden. Their emissary makes his way here even as we speak.
I suppose the sky does rather give the game away.
Indeed. 'Twas inevitable they would come knocking. The only question was how soon.
My lord, I am come with the Yulmoran emissary. May I show him in?
A moment, Captain, if you would. Everyone, gather round. I do not wish to show our hand prematurely. Forgive me this liberty. Vanish. Enter. Well, well. The commander of the Yulmoran army himself. To what do I owe the honor, General Ranjit?
The Light Warden is dead, Exarch. Were your people responsible?
You are clearly in some haste, my lord. But before I address your question, you must allow me one of my own. What is Yulmore's interest in this?
His Benevolence, Lord Vorthry, is gravely concerned that the actions of an ignorant few may jeopardize relations between man and Sin-Eater. Should it transpire that the Crystarium is guilty of abetting the villains responsible for this outrage, my lord has decreed that it suffer the same retribution.
I see. Since you have been so candid, I too shall speak my mind. Regardless of who is responsible, the Crystarium rejoices in the Light Warden's death and welcomes the return of the night sky. If Yulmore considers this tantamount to aiding those you term villains, then by all means, carry out your retribution. Know, however, that even should every innocent soul in the Crystarium perish, nothing can stop that which has been set in motion.
Folly. The death of one or 1,000,000 Sin-Eaters changes nothing. The world is dead, and writhe as we might, like maggots in its rotting course, it will not be reborn. Only by my master's grace may we live out our days in peace. But I waste my breath. You have made your stance clear. I shall relay your words to Lord Vorthry. In the meantime, you would do well to counsel any here who have done more than merely rejoice in recent events, to throw themselves upon Yulmore's mercy, promptly. One last matter. We are searching for a young artist and his assistant. Know you of whom I speak?
An artist and his assistant, no. I cannot say I do.
What a pity. Should they reveal themselves to you, I bid you hand them over at once. My master is most eager to see them again.
Am I imagining things, or did he just stare straight at us?
I fear he did. The General is not a man to be trifled with. He is a warrior of fearsome repute who has led Yulmore's army since before Vorthry's time, when the nation still spearheaded the fight against the Sin-Eaters. One does not command the world's mightiest army, and for so long, without possessing exceptional instincts.
If Yulmore chose to send such an individual, we must assume this talk of retribution is more than an idle threat. While we are grateful for your support, my lord, we cannot in good conscience put your people in harm's way.
'Tis noble of you to say, Master Alphino, but my people have been in harm's way since long before you arrived. Yulmore has ever yearned to rule over what remains of the world. Even should we surrender the Warrior of Darkness to them, they would find some other pretext upon which to invade. The people of the Crystarium know this only too well, which is why, when the time comes, I am certain they will fight to the last man. If truth be told, I would not have been surprised had Ranjit declared war here and now.
He may have reason to delay. According to reports, the Yulmoran forces at Laxan Loft were observed taking a prisoner. A young woman believed to be none other than the Oracle of Light, Minfilia. It may be that General Ranjit wishes to convey her to Yulmor before commencing hostilities. Having mentored generations of Minfilias, it would not surprise me if he had made her capture his chief concern.
Ah, of course. How remiss of me. I had intended to speak to you of Minfilia. There is, however, much to say, and precious little time in which to say it. I think it best that you seek out Moren at the Cabinet of Curiosity. He'll be able to enlighten you. Alphino, Alize, would you care to accompany your friend? You doubtless have insights of your own to offer on the matter.
All right, though I'm still not sure I understand it all myself.
In the meantime, I will set about making provisions for war. You are doubtless eager to attempt Minfilia's rescue, and with your combined strength, you may well succeed. But as I said earlier, I do not wish to show our hand unless absolutely necessary. "'Twas not merely the night sky that you restored to us, but hope. Hope for the future of Norvrand. Unlike you, we cannot contend with the Light Wardens, but so long as hope burns in our hearts, we will fight on regardless. This I will prove to you." My friends, I thank you for gathering at such short notice. There is something I would ask you all. As many of you are aware, I received an emissary from Yulmor a short while ago in the form of General Ranjit. To my dismay, the General condemned the slaying of the Light Warden, and warned me in no uncertain terms that, should the Crystarium cast its lot with the Warrior of Darkness, there would be war. Let none be mistaken. We would be hard-pressed indeed to resist the might of Yulmor. Some would even call it suicide. And yet my heart cries out to fight. Better that than relinquish the hope that swelled in my breast when I beheld the night sky for the first time in 100 years. Or so says my heart. My mind, meanwhile, reminds me that to follow my heart would be to risk everything we have accomplished thus far. Clearly, this is not a decision to be made lightly, nor less alone. And so I put the question to you all. What should we do?
My lord, you already know our minds. It brought tears to our eyes to witness the knight's return. The whole of Norvrand deserves the same, and not just because some children's story tells us so.
Yulmor's influence is far-reaching. Should war break out, trade would be subject to restrictions. The flow of goods will dry up, and we will struggle to make do with what little trickles through. But
Make do, we will.
Aye, we can weather such hardships. Is that not the very thing the Crystarium was built for? We have always taken pride in our ability to sustain ourselves. Not just to endure, but to thrive.
When all falls down around you, rise up. Those were your words. There may come a day when all hope seems lost, but even should the rest of the world give in to despair, we shall not. We shall fight on, that our children and our children's children might know a better tomorrow.
Rousing words apart, I never much cared for those Yulmoran bastards anyway. No better than common swindlers, most of them. Wouldn't know a fair deal if it came up and kissed them on the arse.
Trust you to spoil the moment.
It appears we have a consensus. Let it be known that the Yulmoran host at Laxon Loft has taken the Oracle of Light captive. They fear the power she holds over the Sin Eaters, and doubtless intend to imprison her once more. So, I move that we rescue the Oracle, grant her a place among us, and let that be our answer to Yulmor's ultimatum.
Hear, hear!
Hear, hear!
In planning a strategy for the rescue, I open the floor to you all.
And there you have it. If Yulmor wishes to denounce us as villains, then we shall embrace our villainy. Will you do so as well?
We will not be outdone. Consider us your partners in crime.
My lord, our proposal is as follows. We begin by deploying Amaro to occupy the skies over Lakeland. They should serve to delay the airship's departure. At the same time, we scatter dream powder from the air. Not all will succumb to its effects, but it should thin the enemy's numbers, affording us an opening to swoop in and liberate the Oracle.
Very good. Cease your preparations.
And what exciting crimes would you have us commit? Speaking for my fellow villains, I'd say we're capable of most things, though we draw the line at indolence.
If excitement is your desire, then I bid you join the guard. Captain Lena will give you your orders.
Keep moving. What now?
Crystarium at a guess. Desperate fools. It'll take more than a handful of overgrown lizards to ground us.
Sound the alarm!
The powder has taken effect.
It is time. Let us free the Oracle from their clutches.
You, boy. You bear a striking resemblance to the artist my master seeks. By all means, keep your counsel. You will all have ample time to confess your crimes back in Yulmore.
Thancred?
So, you are the wretch who stole her from us.
And what if I am?
What?
Pathetic. Vermin such as you are not worthy of the Oracle.
fool! You would see your city razed.
I would sooner see it razed than conquered. Suffice it to say, we are ready to receive you.
What now, Exarch? Will you face me yourself?
I think not, General. I've quite exhausted my tricks. If you mean to give chase, I will not stand in your way. But you would do well to tread warily, for your quarry goes to a place where even Yulnor dare not bear its steel. Ilmeg, the Fairy Kingdom.
To think that mountain of indolence still had the energy to unleash his hounds. Even the most pointless of conflicts may alter a world's course. And now the plan has gone awry. But how? How did the so-called Crystal Exarch bring the hero of the Source to the First? As if I didn't have enough on my hands already. Then again, with a soul such as that, mayhap there is another way. One which does not require bloodshed.